Hello, beauty therapists of Australia. My name is Kathleen, and today I wanted to jump on and talk to you all about rebooking your clients. I remember when I was first starting out in the industry, this was so daunting to me, and it really was something that I had to work a lot through to actually be able to even find the confidence and gain the skill when it comes to rebooking my clients. So today I wanted to provide this video to you so you can understand more about rebooking your clients. You can take away some tips, try these strategies, and essentially learn from someone who has some experience. I wish I had someone here to tell me these things all that time ago, although I did get a lot of training and a lot of helpful mentors along the way. These are the tips that I've learned that has worked really good for my own practice and working for other people. So let's get started. And because this is a live training, please pop any questions you do have down below. Please say hello. Thank you for the love hearts and the likes. I can't see any comments at the moment. So actually, if someone who is watching could comment, just so I know that you're here and that Facebook is working. Sometimes it's a little bit funny, but nonetheless, please do ask your questions below because this is a free training for you and I want you guys to get the most out of it. So I'm not seeing any comments, so I'm going to assume no one has commented, and unless Facebook is having a bit of a jumble mumble, which, oh, hello Pearl, thank you so much. I can see your comments. Wonderful, let's get into it. So when it comes to rebooking your clients, I think there's definitely some different issues when it comes to this. Now, there might just be because you're not actually physically asking your clients, would you like to rebook? You might be saying it in the wrong way. I can see your comment. Thank you very much, Pearl. You know, it might be the way you're saying it, it might be the way you're coming off, and it might be confidence. There are so many reasons when it comes to rebooking, but I think the biggest one for new beauty therapists in the industry is really just confidence. You know, you might be providing, let's say, a lash lift, and it is kind of your obligation to tell your client that this lash lift will only last this amount of time, and that if you want to keep this result maintained, you're going to have to book in again. This is only a temporary lift. But sometimes actually getting those words to the client can be very, very daunting and can feel like you're selling, and you can feel a little bit icky. But you have to kind of remember, and honestly, you know, I feel like I heard this many times as a young beauty therapist, and I really had to practice to get this into my brain. You know, people, most often your clients really do want the service more than once. If you provide an exceptional service, you know, and they're really happy about it, it doesn't even have to be exceptional. They want to get the service again, and all you have to do is give them an opportunity to rebook. So that confidence, it doesn't just come like this. You just have to work on it every day and really believe in yourself. And you know what, if you are rejected, then that's okay. At least you gave that professional courtesy to that client and you gave them the opportunity to rebook. Because of this lack of confidence, I find a lot of young beauty therapists, including myself when I first started, I wasn't really rebooking because I didn't want to be rejected. It's like, how do you even get those words out? Now, a lot of the skill and the art of rebooking your clients, it all comes down to being an exceptional therapist and really framing how the treatment will run. Now, you know, we're not here to just rebook and retail our clients. Obviously, they are the purposes of the end goals of all of our treatments, because we need clients coming back to us to have a job, but that's not why we do what we do, right? So sometimes it can feel a little bit icky to retail and rebook, but today we're talking about rebooking, and it can feel icky, like you're selling, and sometimes we can get this little bit of an association with rebooking as to being kind of sleazy and like, oh, well, it's in our best interest that you come back, so so we just skip over it altogether. But like I said, most clients, they want to come back, and you know, if you're not giving them a chance to rebook, they might actually feel more awkward to ask you if they can come back. Most clients feel, you know, you need, I mean, obviously everyone is different. You get those really flamboyant, you know, confident people out there. They're like, I want to book an appointment, really confident. But then a lot of people who are withdrawn, they don't even know if you like them. They're feeling more judged, if anything, than what you are feeling. So if you're not giving them the opportunity, they actually might think to themselves, oh, maybe she like doesn't want to see me again. Maybe it's me. Maybe do I ask for an appointment to rebook? Maybe I'll just do it when I remember, or maybe I don't know, and then they just don't rebook. So if you come to them first, Marriott says, love that you say icky, precious. That's the only way I can describe that, the sales feeling icky. So if you don't give the client the opportunity to rebook, you know, their self-consciousness might come into play a little bit quicker. You know, remember, we are the professionals, and we, you know, when we're in our kind of our flow, let's say, you know, client, in, out, you know, we're in our area where we feel comfortable, especially if we've been doing this for quite some time. You know, they're coming into our territory, and they can sometimes feel like an outsider, and you can do everything you can to make someone feel comfortable. But, you know, it's not going to make everyone feel comfortable enough to speak up and say, hey, I want to rebook. So do keep that in mind. You really do just have to ask. Now, what do you say when it comes to asking? You know, I did just say at the start, are you even asking your client, would you like to rebook? And my advice to you is to not even say it like that at all. There are a certain framing that must be done to rebook a client without actually saying that. I never say that, to be quite honest. Now, this all comes down to the consultation process, and it really depends on what service you're providing. So I primarily provide remedial massage and skin therapies. So the way my appointments are set up, I have a very in-depth consultation, and my assumption, I actually never assume that someone doesn't want to come back to me. I always assume they want to come back to me, because that is how I'm going to get them results. Like, I've actually had to train myself to believe this, that people aren't, you know, they're actually doing themselves a disservice if they're only coming to see me once to fix their skin issue. It's not going to happen unless they're just coming for relaxation, but it is in their best interest to have multiple for their relaxation. So I set up the consultation right from the start, talking about their skin transformation journey. That's what we call it here at Soul Awaken. I talk about the results we can get over the long term. You know, I talk about how, you know, maybe on your 4th session with me, we'll have these results by then. I'll talk about the journey, and I'll kind of forecast where they could be in the future. And that gives them the mental capacity to go, all right, so this isn't just a one treatment thing. This is, you know, I've got to come back multiple times. So they're assuming, oh, I have to come back. So it's not like when you get to the end of the treatment, you're like, oh, would you like to come back? However you're saying it, they're not so like stunned, like, oh, do I want to come back? They're like, oh, like, you know, it's not really a question. It's like, okay, well, I have to come back if I want the results. So you really have to set it up and frame it that way. If you're doing a really, really short consultation, for example, and you're not really asking enough questions, you're probably not finding out why the client is coming to see you in the first place. I think that's a really good tip. So you want to find out why. So for a skin client, I really want to find out exactly what they're wanting to treat. Some clients do just want to see you maybe to test you out. They want to see what you're like. They want to maybe just have a relaxing treatment. Maybe they don't understand that their skin issue can't be treated in one session. No matter what that is, you really need to just find out why. Why are you seeing me? Because that will give you the idea of how to tell them how many times they need to come back. And it's okay to ask these really straightforward questions. You can actually ask things like, how often do you think you could, trying to think of a way to word this, it comes out more naturally when I'm with clients. I would say something like, I'd recommend for you to see me in about 4 to 6 weeks time. Would 4 weeks or 6 weeks suit you best? And when you say it like this, you're actually giving them A or B. So they can't say yes or no, because it's a bit of a psychological trick, let's be honest. It's easier to go nah or no thanks, than to actually, say, oh, well, can I do this and then, or yes, because there might be more thoughts that have to come across with yes. So if you give them the option, do you want 4 weeks or 6 weeks? Then they actually have to really frame it in their own words how they don't want to come back if they don't want to come back genuinely. They might say something like, oh, I've just got to look at my diary, or I need to wait for my pay. Whatever the reason is, you really want to keep asking them questions to understand a little bit more. You kind of don't want to take no for an answer. You're not a pushy salesperson where you're like, well, you have to rebook. It's not like that. You actually just want to find out how you can help them best. Because remember, you're not telling them to come back because you want their money. You're telling them to come back because it's how you're going to get them the results. So it's reframing in your brain and reframing in their brain. Because as soon as you're like, well, would you like to come back for another session in 4 weeks? It doesn't have the right energy behind it. You do need to come from that caring and loving way, and do frame it in that way, like you're recommending. Because if you think about doctors and physios and other health professionals, they don't second guess when they want someone to come back. Think about the last time you went to the doctor. What did they say to you? Maybe you went to see them because you had some sort of, let's say you've got a stomach issue and it's been bothering you, and they've ordered some tests for your stomach issue, or they've given you some recommendations and some medications. They're not going to just be like, oh, well, I'd like for you to see me, when you can. They're not going to at all. They're going to say, I need you to book in for 6 weeks time, or whatever that might be. There's no hesitation. There's no doubting their abilities. There is no reason for them to stutter on this fact, because in their mind, if they don't see you, they're doing you a disservice, because they're wanting to treat your medical issue. So you need to treat yourself like you are a professional as well. So think back to those times when you've had a good customer experience, whether that be with a health professional, whether that be with another beauty professional or hair or whatever, and think back to why you rebooked. What made you want to rebook? Was it because they took your rebooking right there and then? Is it because you got a follow-up email? Is it because you got a text message reminding you to rebook because you haven't seen them in some time? Is it because you just, were reminded of them because you saw them post a status on Facebook or Instagram? Why did you rebook with someone? Was it just because it was convenient? Is it because you don't know anyone else? And the really cool, you can really think about this. But I want to touch on why it's really important to rebook your client there and then, because this is huge. If you can rebook your clients when they're in clinic, you're going to have a better retention rate, essentially. So when your client, I don't know why I'm just holding this flannel, getting all a little bit excited and passionate about this topic. Maybe I'll hold my jade roller instead. Sorry, rose quartz roller. So when your client has just finished your treatment with you, they are feeling on a high. If they've enjoyed your treatment, they're like, oh, self-care, yes queen, all of those things. And they're like, oh my God, I need to do this again. They're at the peak of their emotion. And by you booking them in there and then, they're adding it to their calendar. You've added it to your calendar. You have pre-committed to this appointment. They're less likely to not come again. They're less likely just to forget about you, because they've been booked in at the peak of their emotions. Now, after a treatment has ended, the emotions do decline. I think there was a statistic that I was taught by I can't remember who it was. It was a skincare company, and it was one of the trainers. And she said to me that there's a statistic, I'm sure you've heard it before, where when people buy one thing, they're more likely to purchase something else because they're on a buying high. It's kind of like when you're in a high after a treatment, you're like, oh, you just feel jazzy, yeah, I'm on the top of the world kind of thing. And it's easier to do these things. So book them in there and then. It's in their calendar. They understand the cancellation process because you've told them, if you do have to cancel, just let us know within 24 hours, la, 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 this is our policy, or email it to them, make sure they're informed in some way. but they're less likely because the act of cancelling and essentially letting someone down that you can't come to an appointment is harder than actually, it's just harder than calling up to cancel, essentially. I didn't know where I was going with that, but you get my gist, right? So it's actually quite hard, depending on your process, to actually book someone in the first place. Now, think about it this way. You really got to think about it from the client's perspective. If you've not booked them while they're physically in the location, and that's totally cool. Some people have reasons for not rebooking. Maybe they work shift work, whatever. Inconsistent income, they just don't like to rebook that soon, whatever the reason. You got to think about what's the process like for them actually rebooking in with you later. Do they have to physically pick up their phone and make a phone call? Is it easy to just find your number on Facebook if you own your own business? Is it easy to, how easy is that process? For me, at the moment, I'm using Timely booking software, and I'm actually going to be changing over to Kitomba for some very good reasons. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be sharing that with you all soon as to why I'm changing to Kitomba. But at the moment, for my clients to book in with Timely, basically I take a deposit for the treatment. It's a 50% deposit, which is their cancellation booking fee. Essentially, it's half of the treatment fee. I take that when they make their booking, and they're actually booking it in online. But the problem is, and I get a lot of emails telling me, this person attempted to book in, but they didn't, because they didn't put their payment details in. And this is a big reason why I'm going to leave Timely, is because they don't save credit card details, or perhaps it's not as easy as PayPal. So just putting that out there, that's a lot easier if your credit card details are saved. It's like one less step. I've actually had people tell me, they had to get up and go find their credit card to be able to put it in, and they just couldn't be stuffed because they're doing it 11 o'clock at night. So using something like PayPal or whatever, that would make less friction, essentially. If they actually have to call up within business hours, leave a message, wait for a message, whatever, it's more friction and they're less likely to do it. I think we can all relate to this. We are just so distracted in this modern day world. We don't have an attention span like we used to. We're seeing things flick up, flick back all the time, and we're just scrolling. Things just go in our mind and out our mind. And if your clients aren't thinking of you constantly, then they're not going to think about rebooking with you if they didn't rebook in the first place. So really, back to my first tip, is to rebook while they're there, and do it with confidence, do it with ease. Don't make it this big thing where you're like, so would you like to rebook? Don't make it this thing where you're stressing out about asking them the question. It's a really simple, thanks for the love hearts. You guys appreciate my strange behavior. Don't make it a big thing. Make it a really a really chilled thing. It's just a conversation. It's how they in Macca's or a coffee shop would ask you, how many sugars do you want in your coffee? It's like, how many weeks would you like to wait until you come back? It's not a big deal. So we need to drop down that pressure that we put on ourselves, and remember that if you are working for an employer and you do have targets, don't feel that pressure from targets, because as soon as you start feeling that, you're going to work yourself up and you're going to think that rebooking is this big thing, and you don't want to create distance between you and other therapists that are rebooking. You don't want to look at them and go, well, they've got an 80% rebooking rate, they're this person, or they're this good, or whatever. You don't want to create distance and think that you're different from them because they have a better rebooking rate. If you have a low rebooking rate, whatever, you can only get better. I would much prefer to be someone with a lower rebooking rate, knowing that I can improve myself, rather than being someone on an 85% rebooking rate and I have to maintain that high level. Now, of course, you are aiming for that high level, but do you kind of see how it's all just a mindset shift? You might be putting more pressure on yourself than really you need to. And if you are a new beauty therapist, you know, it will come with time. The best thing you can do is work on your sales skills, and really remember that sales isn't about selling, it's about helping, it's about serving people. So just do your best, recommend what really, you know, what you feel really good about recommending, it feels good in your heart, and do it with love and with happiness and with energy and with passion, and you will find that people will just want to book in with you. I promise you, you will get the skill eventually. So thank you so much for watching. That is it from me. I definitely want to do another video on the topic of perhaps rebooking, maybe sales skills. I'm not really sure right now. Please pop your suggestions below. I love helping young beauty therapists and beauty therapists that have been in the industry for quite some time to help with their skills, because essentially we are here together in this group to uplift each other, create industry leaders, and just be the best beauty therapists we can possibly be. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your video suggestions down below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Good luck with your rebooking. Bye.